Originali.
Nuovo appuntamento con la lingua inglese a Lingue Originali su Caffè Italia, ben trovati. Lingue Originali in onda il venerdì, il sabato e la domenica. La prima puntata della settimana ci vede in compagnia di Marco Piovaz, insegnante, docente universitario di lingua inglese a Torino e grande appassionato di letteratura e cultura britannica. L'appuntamento del sabato è dedicato alla lingua tedesca e ci vede in compagnia di Nadia Meroni. Chiude la settimana la lingua francese con la nostra Barbara Marchand. Grazie a Marco Piovaz continuiamo a conoscere Alan Bennett attraverso il suo monologo dal titolo A Chip in the Sugar. Ho già avuto modo nel corso delle precedenti puntate di raccontarvi qualcosa della vita di Alan Bennett. Vi ho detto che è stato docente universitario, vi ho detto che è sceneggiatore e che è stato anche candidato a un premio Oscar. Non vi ho ancora detto che è stato attore. Non so se ricordate la serie Il Santo, che ha avuto come protagonista Roger Moore. Ebbene, Alan Bennett ha recitato nel 1965 in 3 episodi di quella serie televisiva. E poi ancora nel film Ogni uomo dovrebbe averne 2, diretto da Jim Clark nel 1970, e in Amare per sempre del 1996, diretto da Richard Attenborough. Il microfono lo passo subito a Marco Piovaz per un nuovo estratto di A Chip in the Sugar di Alan Bennett. Buon ascolto.
Today they went over to York. It was after 7 when he dropped her off. He generally comes in, but not this time. Just gives her a little kiss. She has to bend down. I said, "Have you had a good time?" She said, "Yes. We had egg and chips, tea, bread and butter. We've got a lot in common. And there's a grand new car park." I said, "Did you go in the Minster?" She said, "No, Frank's not keen on old buildings. We need to look more to the future." He says they've built a spanking new precinct in Bradford, so that's going to be next on the agenda. You're quiet. I said, "Well, do you wonder? Dr. Chodbury says I should have a stable environment. This isn't a stable environment with your fancy man popping in every 5 minutes." She said, "He isn't my fancy man." I said, "Well, he's your fancy man in embryo." She said, "You know I don't know what that means." I said, "How old are you?" She said, "I don't know." I said, "You do know." She said, "I don't, tell me." I said, "You're 72. That's not so old. How old was Winston Churchill?" I said, "When?" She said, "You think you've got it over me, Graham Whittaker? Well, I'll tell you something. My memory's better with Frank. He was telling me about the economy. You've got it all wrong." I said, "How?" "I can't remember, but you have. Blaming it on the government. Frank says it's the blacks." I didn't say anything, just came upstairs. When I went down again, she still sat there with her hat and coat on. I said, "Do you want to knit him a tea cosy?" She said, "I don't think he's the tea cosy type. When I first knew him, he had a motorbike and sidecar. Besides, I think it's got beyond the tea cosy stage." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Graham, my one aim in life is for you to be happy. If I thought that by dying I would make you happy, I would." I said, "Mother, your dying wouldn't make me happy. In fact, the reverse, it would make me unhappy." "Anyway, Mother, you're not going to die." She said, "No, I'm not going to die. I'm going to get married. And the honeymoon is in Tenerife. Have one of your tablets." She made a cup of tea. I said, "How can you go to Tenerife? You're smothered at Scarborough." She said, "It's a 4-star hotel with tip-top air conditioning. You get your breakfast from a long table." I said, "What about your bowels?" She said, what about my bowels? Well, you said they were unpredictable at Morecambe. Get them to the Canary Islands and they're going to be all over the place. She said, who's talking about the Canary Islands? I'm going to Tenerife. And what about post-Tenerife? Where are you going to live? She said, here. Frank says he'll be away on and off on business, but he wants to call this home. I said, what about me? She went into the kitchen. Well, we wondered whether you'd prefer to go back to the hostel. You were happy at the hostel. You rubbed shoulders with all sorts. I said, Mum, this is my home. She said, a man shouldn't be living with his mother at your age, Frank says. Did you take a tablet? Now it's 4 o'clock in the morning and I can't sleep. There's a car parked outside. I can't see, but I think there's somebody in it, watching, like they used to do before. I thought all that chapter was closed. This morning I went to community caring down at the health centre. It caters for all sorts. Steve, who runs it, is dead against what he calls the ghetto approach. What he's after is a nice mix of personality difficulties as being the most fruitful exercise in problem solving and a more realistic model of society generally. There's a constant flow of coffee, oiling the wheels, Steve's called it, and we're all encouraged to ventilate our problems and generally let our hair down. I sometimes feel a bit out of it, as I've never had any particular problems, so this time when Steve says, now chaps and chapasses, who's going to set the ball rolling? I get in quick and tell them about Mother and Mr. Turnbull. When I'd finished, Steve said, thank you, Graham, for sharing your problem with us. Does anybody want to kick it around? First off the mark is Leonard, who wonders whether Graham has sufficiently appreciated that all people can fall in love and have meaningful relationships generally, the same as young people. I suppose this is understandable coming from Leonard, because he's 65. Only he doesn't have meaningful relationships. He's been had up for exposing himself in Sainsbury's doorway. As Mother said, Tesco, you could understand it. Then Janice chips in. Had they been having sexual intercourse? I said I didn't want to think about it. Steve said, why? I said, I don't know. So he said, maybe what we should be talking about is why Graham is being so defensive about sexual intercourse. I said, Steve, I am not being defensive about sexual intercourse. She's my mother. Jackie, who's 9 parts lesbian, said, Graham, she is also a woman. I couldn't believe this. I said, Jackie, you're an ex-battered wife. I thought you didn't approve of marriage. She said, Graham, I approve of caring marriage. I said, Jackie, this is not caring marriage. She said, Graham, what's Tenerife? That's caring. All I got was a black eye and a day trip to Fleetwood. Then they all have a go. Get Graham. Steve summed up. The general feeling of the group is that Graham could be more open. I said, how can I be more open? There's somebody sat outside the house, watching. I wanted to discuss that, only Leonard leaped in and said he felt the need to talk through an episode behind British Home Stores. I stuck it a bit longer and then came home. Mother sat there, all dolled up, earrings on, chiffon scarf, leathered in makeup. She said, oh, I thought you were Mr. Turnbull. I said, no. She said, I'll just go to the Lev. She goes 3 times in the next 10 minutes. I said, you're not getting married today, are you? She said, no, there's a new Asda superstore open at Bingley, and we thought we'd give it the once over. Frank says they have a very good selection of suntan lotions. I said, Mother, there's somebody watching the house. She said, I want to pick out some tissues and Frank's looking for a little chummy for his windscreen. He's promised me something called a cheeseburger. There's a cafe that's part of the complex. Just then, there's a little toot on the horn and she runs to the love again. I said, don't go, don't leave me, Mum. She said, I'm not giving it to you. You're a grown man. Just then, there's a little toot on the horn and she runs to the love again. I said, don't go, don't leave me, Mum. She said, I'm not giving in to you. You're a grown man. Is my underskirt showing? He toots again. She says, look at your magazines. Make yourself a poached egg. I said, Mum. She said, there's a bit of chicken in the fridge. You could iron those 2 vests. Take a tablet. Give us a kiss. Toodle-pip. I thought I'd go sit in the back room where they couldn't see me. I pulled the curtains and I'm sitting there in the dark and I think I hear a knock at the front door. I don't move. And there's another knock, louder. I do like Dr. Chortbury says and tell myself it's not happening. Only it is. Somebody shouts through the letterbox. I know you're in there. Open this door. So I do. And there is someone. It's a woman. She said, are you the son? I said, what? She said, are you the son? I'm the daughter. I said, have you been watching the house? She said, on and off. Why? I said, nothing. She said, I don't know what there is to look so unsuited about. I said, you'd better come in. She said, are you the son? I said, what? She said, are you the son? I'm the daughter. I said, have you been watching the house? She said, on and off. Why? I said, nothing. She said, I don't know what there is to look so suited about. I said, you'd better come in. It's 9 o'clock when I hear the car outside. I'm sitting, watching TV. I say, oh, hello. Did you have a nice time? She said, yes, we did, thank you. Did you get your suntan lotion? She said, what suntan lotion? You were going to get some suntan lotion. Oh, never mind. You've forgotten. How's Mr. Turnbull? Frank? He's all right. She took her things off. I'm sure you could get to like him, Graham, if only you got to know him. I said, well, you should have brought him in. I will next time. It'd be nice if now and then we could go off as a threesome. What have you done? Nothing, I said. Just sat here. You've been all right. You see, she said, there wasn't anybody outside. Oh yes, there was. She said, oh Graham, have you had a tablet? Have a tablet. I don't want a tablet. I'll tell you who was set outside. Mrs. Pamela Musgrave. She said, who's she? Nay, Turnbull. The daughter of your hubby-to-be. She said, he hasn't got a daughter. He's got a son down south. He hasn't got a daughter, she said. You're making stuff up now. Have a tablet. I said, I'm not making it up. And there's something else I'm not making up. Mrs. Turnbull. She said, there isn't a Mrs. Turnbull. She's dead. I'm going to the love. I said, she is not dead. She's in a wheelchair with a broken heart. He's been having you on. After a bit, she comes out. You're just saying all this. The numbers on the pad ring up. She's disabled, is his wife. Has been for 10 years. Their daughter looks after them. You're not the first. He's always doing it. One woman, it was going to be Barbados. Somebody spotted you together at Bolton Abbey. A well-wisher, Tenerife. Later on, I took her a cup of tea. She'd been crying. She said, "I bought this little bad jacket." I said, "I'm sorry, Mum." She said, "He was right enough. What can you expect at my age? How old am I? 72. That's another thing. I remembered with him. I don't remember with you." I said, "I'm sorry." She said, "You're not sorry. How are you sorry? You didn't like him." I said, "He wasn't good enough for you." She said, "I'm the best judge of that. He was nutty, more than can be said for you," and start crying again. I said, "I understand, Mum." She said, "You don't understand. How can you understand? You're not normal." I said, "I'm going to bed." In a bit, she comes shouting outside the door. "You think you've got it over me, Graham Whittaker? Well, you haven't. I've got it over you." I said, "Go back to bed." She said, "I know the kind of magazines you read." I said, "Chess. You'll catch cold." She said, "They never are chess. Chess with no clothes on. Chess in the birthday suits. That kind of chess. Chess men." I said, "Go to bed and turn your blanket off." Next day, she's right as rain. Forgotten it. Never mentions it anyway. Except just as we're coming out of the house, she said, "I do love you, Graham." I said, "I love you too." She said, "Anyway, he had a hearing aid." She said, "What's on the agenda for today then?" I said, "I thought we might have a little ride to Ripon." She said, "Oh yes, Ripon. That's nice. We could go to the cathedral. We like old buildings, don't we, you and me?" She put her arm through mine. A Chip in the Sugar by Alan Bennett was first published by BBC Books in 1988.
Lingue originali.